Alright, so I played a game recently called Murder on Space Station 52. I am confused, quite frankly. The person working on this definitely worked hard, and there is good here, but boy does it not work for me. I don't know whenever I would recommend it. Early on I was enjoying it quite a bit, but once I think the bar chapter happens, about halfway through, it seems to get more and more weird about puzzles and the story, and kind of forgets the original premise. Anyway, what is it about? In the deep dark future, there's interplanetary space travel. The universe is feeling smaller than ever, and as constructing planet-sized space stations becomes an everyday occurrence. And yet, in such a time, the people don't get too far from their baser instincts. A murder happens. A murder most foul. With a list of suspects varying between incompetent to downright criminal, it's up to a random nobody to figure it out for whatever reason. Also, is it extraplanetary? Whatever. It doesn't matter, you get what I mean. What did I enjoy? That is a good question, which I don't spell as question in my notes, so it doesn't really work that way. So the thing about the game is that it's made by one guy, and essentially it's this one guy toiling away on this thing, writing it, making the music, creating the art, then programming the whole thing, and finally voicing it. He's not actually the only one voicing it, but yeah, he does like 90% of the voices. It's not exactly the most impressive creation of all time, but, well, it's both inspiring and baffling, because I can't imagine doing all that. Then again, I don't have a time frame. Maybe it's over a decade of work here, for a fairly short point and click. In any case, it's praiseworthy. Although I have to admit, the voices and art are definitely not great. Reminds me of old Flash games, and those rarely looked that good, or were animated well. But there's something to that style, a charm in the clunky, somewhat ugly exterior. Like a pug, I suppose. And the main character doesn't sound half bad, it's just that all the other voices, some of them are just random gurgling. Which is amusing but doesn't exactly sound good. Also, I guess the setup was interesting. I do like murder mysteries and space. It's difficult to say I enjoy this mystery after playing through the whole thing and seeing where it was going, because again, early on I was curious and wanted to keep pushing. Especially because the game got that 1920s feel. That's actually another thing I've enjoyed, so it was pulling me in. And then more happened and it soured me on the whole experience, including how I felt about the beginning, so a bit of a confusing point here. Okay, so maybe at this point I just feel bad for not enjoying the story or the game that much, because I feel like if I'm negative about this, then I'm basically insulting this guy's hard work. But it's difficult to praise something that is definitely not that well made. For example, the puzzles for the supply closet on the island. Great example of a terrible puzzle. The gist is this. It's a 5x5 grid. 5x5 grid. 5 icons and only 5 buttons can be lit up at the same time. Click the correct ones and get it open. The solution involves looking at the 5 sculptures around the island and using the plaques, whatever it is, on them for info. But there is zero indication what is supposed to be used. Like I have used chronological order in which the statues were actually made. Nope. I thought it's some sort of sum of the year of when they were made. Nope. Maybe the sum of the letters of the material. No. Perhaps it's some sort of comment thing. Maybe they are not supposed to be lit up at all. Maybe the other two get 2 lights at once and some are just not lit up. Not the case in the slightest. It's meant to be about what is above what. So for example, sun is at the top, clouds under that. This was dumb, but it doesn't end there. What truly annoyed me was what goes where. Most importantly, water goes above the octopus. I don't understand in what universe does that make sense. Apparently there exists a vacuum in between water and the bedrock, and in that tiny sliver of existence exists the octopus. I suppose you can claim that he's underwater, but that's just weird. Underwater, that's silly. Another example is the drink machine. 3 colors, 4 numbers for the amount each. So figure out how much blue, yellow and orange to get the 2 drinks. Nothing there made sense until I looked at the walkthrough. Apparently it's talking about the number on the paper, turning that many times and using the number which it ends up as. Confusing, I know, but if you see it, it might make more sense. That's not the problematic part. Problem is the second drink. It involves taking a piece of paper, moving it to a specific part of the screen, and looking at the colors appearing in the holes. Then seeing what colors correspond to what numbers. Because it's not just the amount, it's the position what matters. After seeing the walkthrough and the solution, I still don't see it in-game. The pixelated tiny zoomed out thing is impossible to discern. I'd need a microscope to see that, and even then the colors blur together with the paper. These are three puzzles out of like 7 I've had problems with, and the game isn't that long, so that's actually a decent chunk. And yeah, I forget another. Well, it's only a step in the actually very simple puzzle, but that earlier second drink I mentioned, apparently it's also used to just take a wild guess here. It's a drink, a high alcohol content, so many uses. And here, apparently, the one use is to detangle a thread. The game even makes fun of this, and yet it happens anyway. I think the moon logic is taking an absolute control of this game. And like I said, the resolution, the actual killer, the investigation itself, and the mystery of the station and the murder, pretty hefty disappointment. I feel like someone else needed to come up and tell the maker of all this to tone down the weirdness and just try to make a good game. Oh well. So yeah, it's okay I guess, but I feel bad about not loving it.